everybody, and welcome to Against the Fence. This is your UFC 274 Aftermath show, where we take a look and recap some of the events from this past Saturday's main card. We'll also take a look at the fighter rankings, see what's updated, and predict what's next for both winners and losers, which also will include quite an interesting pick for Charles Oliveira, but do stay tuned for that. And then lastly, we'll be taking a look at some of the socials. We will have a look at Twitter and see what the pros have been saying, reacting to everything post pay-per-view. All right, so don't go anywhere. All right, so first up on the card, of course, we had Randy Brown defeating Khaos Williams by a split decision. 29-28 was pretty much across the footboard in favor of the Jamaican. Then after that, we had Ovis St. Preux defeating Mauricio Shogun Rua by split decision as well. So look, there's plenty of split decisions come this past weekend. But then in the middle of the card, we had Michael Chandler defeating Tony Ferguson with that devastating front kick in round number 2. Then in the co-main event, wasn't the most exciting fight, of course, but Carla Esparza defeated Rose Namajunas to become a new strawweight champion, and that was by a split decision as well, of course. Then lastly, in the main event, the big one, Charles Oliveira defeated Justin Gaethje via round 1 submission. That was a rear naked choke, and he is officially the #1 contender for the lightweight crown. Thank you very much. So I think we should pretty much just dive straight into these things, shall we? Let's take a look at the rankings. So first up, of course, we had the not much has changed, I don't think, here in the welterweight division, but great performance from Randy Brown. You know, I think he did excellent against a very heavy hitter. He moves to 15-4 now with a 3-fight win streak. And, you know, the story of the fight for him was pretty much, I mean, he had a shaky first round, don't get me wrong. Khaos had a lot of success. I believe he dropped him in that first round as well, which had us on the edge of our seats. But look, composure from Randy Brown to come out there in second round and just kind of, he was in cruise control. His footwork was much better. Defensively, he was better. He was using his kicks very well to kind of set up his punches. And look, he didn't give Khaos Williams a lot of look really on the feet. And yeah, hats off to him, of course. You know, could we see him again this year? I think I do hope so, because I do like Randy Brown. I think he's a top prospect. Yeah, we just got to give him time, really, and got to give him the right opponents now, because he's had some tough fights, of course. You know, in the past, I think he lost to, like, I think his last loss was against Vicente Luque. You know, he got knocked out in round number 2, which was very unlucky there. But look, you know, he's also lost the likes of Nico Price, Bilal Muhammad, of course, who's well up there now. So look, you know, I think give Randy Brown time, and I think he can become a real good prospect. Matchups I'd like to see for him next, I've got 2 potential options. Ash said, didn't Brown win that fight? Yeah, he did win that fight, my man. Did I get it wrong? My bad if I did. But yeah, my first option for Randy Brown is Andre Filau. I'd actually, but it's kind of a difficult one. I think it kind of makes sense in terms of where both guys are at in their careers, and both guys are looking impressive. But personally, like, in kind of way, I would like to see Andre Filau, who did win this past weekend as well. I'd like to see him take on the likes of Nicholas Dalby, actually. Because, you know, Dalby's never been knocked out. And Filau Dalby, like, Dalby's like this stocky, built like an ox cut type of character with great kicks. And Filau's almost the same, but with his hands. So I think that, you know, that kind of matchup would make a lot of sense. But look, I would also like to see Randy Brown versus Andre Filau as well. Either way, I'm quite happy for either of those options. My second choice for Randy Brown would be, and I think it kind of makes sense really, would be the winner of Ponzinibbio versus Michel Pereira. Ponzinibbio is an absolute veteran. He's fought the who's who. What's great about Randy Brown is just the fact of his length and his height for the division as well. He's very tall. He's got great reach for welterweight. And look, I think Ponzinibbio, or both Ponzinibbio and Pereira, will be a great test for him because they're quite very tall and long themselves. Actually, well, Pereira probably more so than Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio's got that boxing style. He's just going to kind of walk forward, similar to Filau as well. And look, it's another fight, I guess, for Randy Brown to kind of pick apart on the feet and use the footwork, use a lot of lateral movement, stay on the outside and kind of, pick at these guys. But, let's face it, Randy Brown's not exactly like blown your hair back with these performances. Especially in the Jared Gooden fight of his that was before the Chaos Williams fight. He was sort of very tentative of that, very respective, again, another power puncher. So, look, in due course, I think maybe he might get the finish next time around. But if it was against Ponzinibbio, I think he'd have a better chance at maybe finishing Ponzinibbio than Pereira. But like I said, what's going to happen against Ponzinibbio and Pereira? Whether or not we're going to get Michel Pereira, who's going to be dancing around the octagon for 15 minutes, I kind of would like to favor the legend and the man that is Ponzinibbio. I guess in a way Pereira's a little bit more athletic, so I think stylistically a bit more interesting would be Randy Brown versus Pereira. But maybe Ponzinibbio fight would be a little bit more interesting, if you're Randy Brown, I guess. But then let's move on to Chaos Williams. I've got Chaos Williams. One option for him, actually, which would be someone like Max Griffin, perhaps, who's now 18-9. He's coming off of a split loss against Neil Magny. And he's kind of got a bit of an awkward style. He's very sort of unorthodox in his approach. He's kind of a guy... he isn't as very technically sound, but whatever he does, he makes it happen, and he's got some great wins as well. Carlos Condit was one of them, which again could be another potential option for Chaos Williams. If Carlos Condit wants to get back in there, But then at the same time you've got Max Griffin who's had some difficult losses in the past against Alex Oliveira, which was a split decision, close fight there. But I think did Chaos Williams beat Randy Brown beat Alex Oliveira, so maybe that fight kind of makes sense as well. But that's kind of like the only real option that I have for him. I'm afraid. It's but let me know in the chat, guys, what you guys think. If you're a big Chaos Williams fan, because look, don't get me wrong, he's entertaining. He knocks dudes dead in there. And there's so many exciting fights which we could potentially see him face in this welterweight division. I don't think he's like particularly that old, really, is he? If I just check his age now, he's realize he was 6 foot. Well, he's 28. So look, he's still get going. Christ, he's March 1904. He's the same age as me. Oh, that's crazy. He's much more scarier looking than me, that's for sure. But yeah, exciting, I think, times for him to still come and bounce back and get another win in his next outing. Okay, so that was pretty much summed that one up. Let's get into the light heavyweight division. Ovis St. Preux picking up the win against Mauricio Shogun Rua. Of course, none of these guys ranked either. But look, maybe Ovis St. Preux is knocking on the door now. Back at this light heavyweight division. Maybe he can string a few wins together. Sorry, not losses. And head back in there. He did prior to the Mauricio Shogun fight. He came off of 2 back-to-back losses against Jamal Hill and Tanner Boser. Tanner Boser's been looking great, man. He's a dog. He's a dark horse. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's very quick for that division. Jamal Hill's, of course, he's well up there now, isn't he? Well, he's ranked number 10. He's looking in fantastic shape. Ever since that Paul Craig fight, he's beaten the likes of Johnny Walker, completely flailing tube manned that guy. So look, sky's the limit for him. Prior to that, of course, you had Ovis St. Preux beating Alonzo Menifield. Tough night in the office against Ben Rothwell at heavyweight. So look, then again, on the flip side, he is getting on a little bit. You know, I think he's like 39 now. So, you know, it's sort of how long's left, really? I'd imagine the UFC keep him hanging around. I guess he's only 2 wins in his last 5, which isn't great. So maybe he's going to get some more kind of legend type characters. One particular fight that I have picked up for over Prue, and get ready, Ash, because I think you're going to really enjoy this one. What do you guys reckon to over Prue versus Khalil Roundtree Jr.? Bruh, that's the one. That's the one. It's been a bit of a redemption period for Khalil Roundtree at the moment. You know, he's been looking great. He's had some back-to-back wins against our boy Modestas Bukauskas, who, former friend of ours on the channel. What was his last one? Did he fight after Modestas? Yeah, he did. That was it. He defeated Carl Robinson. That body kick combination in round 2, which won him performance of the night, and kind of won our hearts in that fight as well. He talked about battling mental health and that. But stylistically, over Prue versus Khalil Roundtree Jr., both guys are so explosive. Both of them great at using their kicks as well. We saw over Prue against Mauricio Shogun Rua at the weekend just pick Shogun apart with that teep kick. Yeah, man, Shogun looked like a complete lobster in there. He was a complete different guy. He did what he needed to do. He didn't get the knockout this time around, second time around. Steady performance, probably wasn't the most exciting of fights, very technical on the feet. And yeah, I guess a lot of you don't really necessarily like over Prue because of how patient he is. But look, he's capable of shutting your lights out at any moment. And look, I guarantee you that Khalil Roundtree fight would spell knockouts. Someone's going to sleep for sure. Personally, I would think it would be Khalil Roundtree that gets the win in that one. I do hope so. I've kind of, he's kind of won me over since he beat our boy Modestas. So, I just hope he gets back up there. Some comments in. We've got 2 comments from Shane A. Welcome to the channel, buddy. If you haven't done so already, hit a like on the video and hit the subscribe button, of course. He says, Charles versus Islam, Chandler versus Dustin, Tony versus Justin 2. Interesting matchups, man. Stick around because, look, there's just so many to make in that lightweight division. There's so many options, and we're going to get through them all. I do promise. But, of course, at the moment, we're getting through the card one by one. Your Lizard21, welcome back to the channel, my buddy. Nice to see you again on a weekday. Hope you're doing well, my man. Pop that like on the video. You've got a really good pick here. He says Tyson Pedro for OSP. Good win for Pedro to get on his resume before OSP retires. Look, I think that's a good option. Have they not fought before? I was literally going to single that one out, actually. Maybe I got confused whilst I was looking. That's a good, that's a real good matchup. They not fought before. I swear I saw something earlier when I was doing some flick. No, he did. Back in 2018. So I guess some time away if you want to do that again. Tyson Pedro armbarred him in round 1. Over Prue beats Tyson Pedro round 1 via armbar. So and one performance of the night, and that's one of his probably his impressive wins. Look, Tyson Pedro is looking exciting. He's back in the mix now after some time out. I think we've got some better options for him. I reckon. I think there is. Maybe Shogun fought Tyson Pedro before. I think he has as well. Because I'm look, timing wise, you're right. It makes sense because he literally fought two goes ago. Yeah, that was it. So Tyson Pedro in 2018 both lost to Ovis and Prue and Shogun. So we can't really put Tyson Pedro back in there, I'm afraid. But look, he's looking great and exciting to definitely see him again sometime soon down the line. Pedro by sub. Yeah, so Ash was clearing that up. Shane A says, I've only just woke up from Rose versus Carla. Glad Carla won though, but Joanna will be champ again. We're gonna get into that because it is really intriguing. Look, Joanna's so entertaining, man, and look, the door is wide open for her to come back, especially after all this time out. But we're gonna get there in just a sec. Yeah, my option for Shogun though, I've only got one for him. Well, I think it would make sense to pair him up against someone like Devin Clark next. 13, who's 13-6, someone else who is just sort of outside of that sort of top 15 area and fought some very tough competitors in his time as well. He's coming off of a win against William Knight, who I don't think a lot of us thought was going to win. I thought we all thought William Knight did. I mean, especially me, in that prelim bout at Luke versus Muhammad. So the reason why I've got that option is just purely because time-wise, like that last event against William Knight was in April. It's last month. So I think that kind of makes sense. He's lost against the likes of Ian Kutalaba, Anthony Smith, very guys again in the top 15. So, and he's also beaten Alonzo Menifield. He's lost against Rakic, Ryan Spann. So, personally for me, Devin Clark's he's not the most exciting of fighters, in my opinion. But I think for him to get a win against a legend like Shogun, I think would do a lot of good for his confidence. And as for Shogun, I get he is kind of on that slippery slope, really, isn't he? He's getting on a little bit. He's very withered. He doesn't look the best in there, that's for sure. And Devin Clark, is Devin? What's Devin Clark's finish sort of rate? Not that great. So it's ideal for Shogun, because Devin Clark's got 4 knockouts and only 1 submission. So look, are you taking for Shogun by decision in that, or would you take Devin Clark by submission? Decision. What do you reckon, guys? But yeah, that's just my one pick. Few chats. Yeah, Lizard said, "Oh yeah, completely forgot about that. Maybe Max Grisham could be a good option for OSP then." Yeah, do you know, I actually contemplated Max Grisham as well in there. I must admit, I've had a hectic day, to be honest. So yeah, I think that would be stylistically a good fight. Someone who's quite good on the ground as well. Weird how Max Grisham, his name doesn't sound very Russian, does it? I would keep forgetting he's Russian. But yeah, I think that's a good shout, my man. That's a very Shane A says, "You just took the words out of my mouth. Clark is a good matchup." See, look, good minds think alike, Shane. Good minds think alike. Subscribes. What's your opinion on Charles being stripped? Yeah, I did a news video on this. Literally a few hours after it happened. Maybe after this video you can check that out as well. I had a few opinions on it. I literally raced back here to talk about it, and I'd literally just watched Doctor Strange. So it was a massive rush to kind of process everything that has happened. I think it was probably the right move by the UFC in the end. It kind of made a lot of sense and it was the first time it's ever happened before. It happened before when the middleweight title was relinquished and vacant, and it was a period where only Robert Whittaker could win the belt and Yoel Romero couldn't because he missed weight. This totally different scenario, and I think it was the UFC's right decision. Really, we just can't have guys missing weight and just kind of getting away with it, really, and using it as a scapegoat, I guess, and belt. But look, 0.5 pounds is not much, is it? Yeah, I mean, come on, give a guy a break, sort of thing. And I didn't think it was too much of an advantage in there. Even Gaethje came out and says he was 165 or whatever a few hours later. So he says, "I don't know if it did affect the scales. Tony giving a little jump on there could have maybe." Oh no, I saw the speculation, man. People think that it's just like typical Tony Ferguson, isn't it? Him to bodge up the scales. I don't know. I think John Anik was saying that he reckoned that the scales should be kind of watched by security, and apparently the guy who was like watching it had no clue on how to operate it anyway. I think Dan Hardy spoke on Twitter and reckoned we should do digital scales now. Kind of a bit weird, but I don't think a lot of people have a lot of faith in digital scales as of yet, which is crazy because we live in such a digital world now. Elizabeth said, "I really want Tony to fight Hooker next because Hooks is still a really good name at lightweight, and I think it's very winnable for Tony, and I want him to win one more before retiring." Yeah. I'm totally with you on that. I mean, we're gonna get into that in just a sec. Okay, but all right. I'll tell you what then. We'll move on now to the next division. We'll move on to lightweight, and we'll start on with Tony Ferguson instead of Chandler. Just because you've mentioned it, my man. That's a very good fight. I do like that. And but I didn't write it down because personally, I'm a sucker. Both guys are falling on hard times, and I wouldn't want to see either of those guys lose. Similar to like the Cerrone Joe Lozon scenario that we were going to have this past weekend. You know, I didn't want either of those guys to lose. And if you pair up Ferguson versus Hooker, it would be hard, man. It would be hard. So I've left that reason out. I kind of hope that Hooker gets somebody who's maybe just outside of top 15. Again, you know, he beat Hackbrass, which was great. It was a great win, and he looked good against that, controlled that fight really well. I just hope he gets someone outside top 15 again, gains that kind of confidence, and maybe starts picking fights that make a bit better sense to him. Because, you know, the traveling to the UK for the Arnold Allen fight was kind of stupid. He puts himself through so much stress. And look, I think he should wait out until the UFC goes. That's what I would do if I was him. Depends on money, doesn't it? I guess at the end of the day. My option for Tony Ferguson, I think you guys are going to really like this one. Now, it's not a top 15 guy. I'm sorry to say that, which might not, because top 15 is kind of stacked. You look in there at the moment, you've got, obviously, I guess you could very well do the winner of Rafael Fiziev against Rafael Dos Anjos. Ferguson defeated Dos Anjos, though. You've got Gamrot versus Sarukin, which is a hell of a fight as well. Brad Riddell's coming for loss down at 15th. But look, I think Renato Moicano is the perfect fight for fans and Tony Ferguson because Moicano, stylistically, similar fighter, very good on the ground, very slick with his submissions, very long, great use of elbows as well. He's like a young Tony Ferguson. You know? Does it not make sense? The thing is with Renato Moicano is he lost against RDA in his last outing. But at the same time, he was a last-minute replacement in that fight. So you can't kind of blame him. The performance didn't look great, but you just got to blame the fact he came on a lot of short notice. You know, we give him that excuse. It's fair enough. Man, I think I think it makes sense. Right, okay, let's check up with these guys. So Ash calling for Riddell. Jane says, I think Tony loses next fight. He could retire, taking a lot of damage in the last few fights. True, very with you with that one. Bob, yes, Bob, welcome back, my man. Hit a like on the video if you haven't done so already. He says, unrelated, but Arman is fighting Gamrot soon. Kind of crazy Arman for Islam in his debut and is taking all the hardest fights with less name value. Yeah, man, you're right. Like, Arman Tsarukyo is a true talent to this division, and he's an exciting fighter as well, and a prospect to see. He's 18-2. Yeah, we got to be looking up for this guy. There's so many good fights for him. Yeah, who knows what's going to be next after the Gamrot fight? Again, you know, maybe it could be. Well, it could be a potential option. Is it one that we would be excited? Favor though, Sarukin or Ferguson? Is it a winnable fight for Ferguson? You think of someone like Sarukin who's up and coming? It's not a great matchup, really, is it? Bob also says Tony versus Hooker as well, so he make that fight in the heartbeat. But he also agrees with me that Moicano is a good one. Jane says I would like Tony versus Gregor Gillespie. Yeah. I guess it could. The UFC would be doing him a bit of a solid in a way because Gregor is ranked above him. But at the same time, like, no one wants to fight Gregor Gillespie. Someone's got to. And yeah, Gregor Gillespie's not a guy to be. He's not a knockout artist, really, is he? So Tony's got no thing to go against that idea. Could be interesting on the ground whether Tony can attack off his back and just kind of do damage against Gillespie. You know, and let's not forget, Gillespie got flatlined by Kevin Lee. So maybe it's a good fight. Yeah, I like that one as well. I like that one. That one. No man, Gregor wrestles Tony the whole time. So bad matchup for Tony. Yeah, exactly. Exciting wise, it might not be because Tony's gonna be fighting off his back for the whole time and trying to sink in submissions, and it's probably gonna go all 3 rounds. My personal opinion, I think Moicano fight maybe better chance of a finish in that fight than compared to the other options. But that's the same for both guys, really. When you look at it. Let us know if you like that one before. Maybe we should move on to. Actually, Michael Chandler. Let's not forget Michael Chandler. Christ, Michael Chandler's performance, man. He got dropped in that first round. Look, we saw vintage Tony for a split second. He won that first round. He looked great off of his back as well. I think Chandler did quite a good job. He was in a good position right up against the fence and made things awkward for Tony to kind of pull off any submissions. But Tony was trying. He was doing good use of the elbows. He did cut Chandler in that exchange as well. But look, just got caught. Just got caught at the end of the day. But this win projects Chandler massively. Like I was saying in the watch along, it was so needed because, look, people were slating him the fact that he was 1-2 in the UFC. And, he's fought tough guys. For him to go in there, and I said this, go in there and knock out Tony, and I even put knockout as well. I just didn't think it was going to be for a front kick. I just felt it was right for Chandler. Like, he needed it, and to prove us all wrong. But again, sky's the limit. Look, there's a lot of options for Michael Chandler, and look, some solid, I should say in my Spanish reckon, but I did think about that for Tony Ferguson. It would be a good one. I don't think he's quite there yet for Tony Ferguson, in my opinion. Back on Chandler. I've got two obvious options, which people have been obviously talking about anyways. One we'll probably talk about later in the social kind of segment of it all. Look, man, Dustin Poirier or Conor McGregor, which one do you fancy? The Poirier one does better for Chandler rankings-wise. If he wants to kind of perhaps get that title fight again quicker. But at the same time, the money fight with Conor makes sense, right? Go get yourself paid. You deserve it. You've been a champion in another organization. You've looked flawless in the UFC at the moment. Okay, all right, 2-2, but like the knockouts he has had are spectacular. He's always good on the mic. You know for certain that fight is going to be entertaining. Chuck money at it. We're gonna pay to see it without a doubt. I'd kind of like that option. I think I would prefer that option. But on the same time, I think if you look at Conor McGregor, what's winnable, Michael Chandler or Tony Ferguson? Because Tony Ferguson versus Conor would also be a very good fight as well, and would be very entertaining build-up. Tony's the guy who's fallen on much harder times than Chandler, so the style matchup probably works better for Conor. But at the same time, when you look at the guys that Conor's beaten, Chad Mendes in the past, Chad Mendes gassed out. He knocked him out. Small wrestler. What's Michael Chandler? He's been known to be chinny in the past. Okay, Gaethje didn't knock him out. Props to him there. But look, Conor could do it. Conor could do it with that left hand. His distance management has always been Conor's biggest skill set, and maybe it's a bad matchup for someone like Chandler, who's very short, got to use a lot of speed to get in quick and kind of not get caught. I think it's difficult. I think it's very difficult. What to prefer? Shane A says, in my opinion, Chandler should be ranked number 2. Ooh. Him and Islam are the toughest in the division behind Charles there. The only real test for Charles. Wow. True. He did really look really solid in that first round against Oliveira, but then so did, which I guess when you compare the performances, it's easy to say that Chandler's first round against Oliveira was much better than Poirier's first round against Oliveira, especially watching that for a second time, might I add. and Gaethje's first round against Oliveira as well. Literally, going into this fight, I thought Gaethje was going to surpass Dustin Poirier's time against Oliveira. I really did. The submission shocked me. I think it was just purely because Justin came in there just swinging. Whereas Poirier was a little bit more calculated. He made those, the correct adjustments and landed those decent shots on Oliveira, which obviously put him down. And look, Gaethje had that one shot, did put him down, but look, Gaethje didn't follow up. Part of me did wonder whether Oliveira was actually playing possum with that one, similar to what Diaz was doing against Conor McGregor, because he knew that he wanted this fight on the ground. He knew that maybe in the later rounds, Gaethje would favor in cardio. So maybe he knew that he had to push the pace and try and force Gaethje down to the ground at some point. But look, he knocked him down, man. That's what's got crazy. Again, looks unstoppable, doesn't he? Which we'll get into this in a sec. Ash says, imagine Chandler versus Dustin. Yeah, I do really like that fight as well. Hard to put a name on who's going to win it. I think it's close. When you look at these options, what's closer, Chandler Conor or Chandler Poirier? I kind of want to see that. I kind of want to say Chandler Poirier is much closer, purely because of similar styles and just kind of how good both guys are on the ground. Obviously, Chandler has the wrestling aspect of it all. With Conor, like I said, it's the distance management, which is going to be difficult, but then it depends on what Conor you get. It depends on what Conor you get, of course. Shane A says, McGregor has been my favorite for God knows how long, but I admit, Chandler ragdolls McGregor, rather see Tony Conor. Okay, fair opinion. Fair opinion. Yeah, I think it's maybe likely, based off of recent performances, you'd probably think it's a more winnable fight for Conor. Yeah, I'm totally with you. Ashley saying Chandler. My buddy, I'm probably going to say your name wrong. I do apologize. I think I probably got it wrong once before. I'm sure you've joined the channel before, but if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like on the video. Dudesy says McGregor versus Tony because Chandler won't trade shots with Conor. He will use wrestling. Only it will be entertaining as expected. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. Look, Chandler got the takedown on Tony at the end of the day, didn't he? If you're Chandler, you want to get the fight to the ground ASAP, and yeah, you're probably right there. Ash says, if Conor ever fights Chandler, I see Conor doing what he did to Eddie Alvarez. See, look, exactly. Again, another small wrestler, short. But the thing is, the difference with Eddie Alvarez and look, we've seen Eddie Alvarez versus Michael Chandler. Those fights were phenomenal. I think Chandler's just a bit more powerful than Eddie, isn't he? He says Alvarez was meant to take him down and didn't. Then Chandler meant to take him down but won't. I see same happening. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Chandler was meant to take Gaethje down, really, wasn't he? And just decided to sling it out. Chandler made the right adjustments against Tony. He was a little bit more smarter in this fight. Yeah, okay, he got the knockdown. But, I think Chandler now knows that he should be more smart in these fights. And if he wants to beat Conor, he would have to be smart. But then, it's like, is Chandler just going to go balls to the wall and think, fuck it, let's just go ham at this and make this the most entertaining fight that people can see and make people's money's worth? Maybe that Chandler could come out. So, yeah, very interesting factors to go into that fight if it does get made. Shane goes, as a McGregor... Oh, I've already read that one. No, I haven't. He says, as a McGregor fan, I want to see Dustin again. Just for the leg snap, you can't count that. Or Diaz 3, but can't see that he has one fight left and then going to stitch him up with Hamza. Yeah, no, I'm with you, man, as well. I'm with you, man. I think you need to do Conor Diaz 3. That's what I would prefer to see. Look, there's so many interesting fights for Conor. Yeah, I would like to see Conor Ferguson eventually, but yeah, if you're the UFC, if you're in the UFC shoes, you're Sean Shelby. You want to make Conor McGregor Diaz as much. Like, you need to make that fight. Like, that is your priority. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Good point. Okay, so let's now move on to the women's strawweight division. Yes, I'm afraid we're going to talk about it, guys. Don't go anywhere. Some interesting things to obviously talk about here, especially in the wake of the post fight. Let's change this up here. It's a surprising win for Carla Esparza. She won purely because Rose's performance just wasn't that great. She was too defensive, and she wasn't effective on the feet. That's what we thought. I think she was too worried about the takedowns from Carla. Carla was just a little bit more clinical in some of the exchanges, and I think that's basically what won her the fight. But not many people are giving Carla credit for her performance, which kind of rightly so, right? I mean, neither girl was entertaining. But people are going to come down on Rose a lot harder because she was the champion, and a lot of people felt that she was going to win this time around. And I totally get it, but who was to blame coming into this, though? Was it Trevor Whitman? Because, look, people are now trying to slander him now. 2 losses in the same night now. He was getting like 3 a couple of months back. 3 wins, in a row, a couple of months back. Who's to blame? Pat Berry? Is Pat Berry to blame? I personally think that perhaps Pat Berry is just interferes a little bit too much. You've got kind of like this, which I guess is a kind of, no, I don't think he says the smartest things at times in the corners. Like, Trevor Whitman is kind of the guy who's going to be more tactical minded and give that approach, whereas Pat Berry is sort of like the person to fire her up. But I think it's different if you're in a relationship with someone. I just really see him say the right things to Rose and really light that fire. I think people really thought that she was winning that fight. Again, there's another topic for when it comes to discussing the idea of open scoring, which hopefully maybe we're going to do one day on the channel with a bunch of people. We're going to talk about these interesting debates. If you had open scoring in this fight and Rose was able to see that she was down, rounds 4 and 5 could be really entertaining. We could see Rose go pedal to the metal. But look, there's pros and cons to it. And look, I want to discuss that someday with you guys. Interesting comments coming up. Jane A says, I heard Dana say he isn't keen on making Carla versus Rose again. Yeah, absolutely not. As fans, we don't want to see it. He said maybe the Joanna Zhang winner gets the title shot. That's why I think Joanna beats Carla, but hard test in Zhang first. Absolutely. And like I said at the start, the door is open now for Joanna. It's kind of weird, isn't it? It's played out. She spent all this time out, and she was only wanting big fights. She only wanted kind of title fight style matchups. And she's been modeling for all this time. And yeah, okay, she's earning some extra cash. She's maybe earning more than fighting. Who knows? Maybe she's a bit skint at the moment. She's decided now that the alien head is way in the past, and she's going to fight Weili once again, which I think is exciting. Again, like last year, we did a top 5 video of most entertaining fights. Joanna Weili was in my top 5, top 5. And look, I want to see that again. Personally, I think it should be 5 rounds instead of 3. We'll see what they decide to do on that. Surely they got to make it. Maybe put it on a co-main. Already booked, but I guess we're just going to see an all-out war for 3 rounds then. Joanna has to win against Weili. She has to. But, which is, Joanna is... You look at that Carla Esparza first time around, completely dominated her, pieced her apart. Carla Esparza hasn't improved too much since that fight. Her takedown entries has got a lot better for MMA during that time, but that's probably the only thing that she's really improved on. And, you're probably right. Joanna could easily win that fight. But, yes, she has to get through Weili. Now, what if Weili was to win? Weili versus Esparza is quite interesting because of the amount of wrestling development that we're seeing from Weili, or we saw her in that Rose fight last time out. Henry Cejudo's doing really good work with her. But yeah, maybe we can very well see it against Carla. I think she's got the strength to stuff Carla's takedowns and piece her up on the feet, and probably not be as cautious as a Rose would. Again, you know, it's gonna be interesting to see whether you do that. Oh, I see. Okay. So Shane A says, don't sleep on Dern though. Mate, I'm a big Mackenzie Dern fan. I'm completely on your case about that. I agree with you on that. I just don't think Mackenzie Dern's quite there yet, really, is she? You know, she lost against Marina Rodriguez. She's in amongst the pecking order a little bit. We'll get into the matchups in just a sec about Dern. Ah, my man, Broken Native. Yes, I swear you changed your name a few times on. I don't know. I know you had a different picture before. I know that for sure. But yeah, welcome back, my man. Good to see you as always. And he says the rightful owner of the belt is Weili Zhang. Ooh, big Weili fan. I see. Big Weili fan. Look, I mean, again, maybe is an opportunity for her to get back in there for sure. It's all wide open. But what's next for Rose Namajunas? Some good options, of course. Yeah. Oh, sorry. No, for Carla. We'll do Carla first. We've basically spoken about Carla, really, haven't we? It is going to be that Weili versus Joanna option. I personally am quite big on Marina Rodriguez. And me and the guys have predicted that she will be champ by the end of the year. She looked fantastic last year. Okay, the Yan Jinan fight wasn't as great. You know, the split decision win there. Tough fight, of course. But, you know, I think she causes problems. She's only had one loss. And that was against Carla Esparza, who's the current champ. So, look, she can very well contest that, I think. I'd like to see her in there, but maybe not just yet. Because, look, Joanna coming back into the mix just throws a spanner in the work. And that it is what it is. But as for Rose, though, look, two options. I mean, Marina Rodriguez is one of them. Because, look, Marina can't go anywhere. I think that'd be a very good fight. You know, again, Marina is a very talented striker. She's on a 4-fight win streak now. She need, I think, a win against a former champion in Rose would be phenomenal. Again, you're like, Rose has got unbelievable footwork, though. She's, you know, can Rose get Rodriguez down? We've seen that Rodriguez is difficult to take down. Can Rose do it, though? She timed a very well takedown against Carla Esparza late into that fight. So maybe she can. Got good timing. I think we got to give Rose credit there. Maybe. But Rodriguez versus Rose if the rematch doesn't happen, says Ash. Yep, for sure. Shane says give Rose versus Dern. That's another option as well. Yeah, you could be right. Could be very right. But that's the thing, because if you do Rose versus Dern, then Rodriguez needs to be fighting for the belt. I think, in my opinion, you know, or Weili. Again, Joanna coming back is throwing a spanner in the works, because like Rodriguez has a win over Dern, but we can't. Surely Dern can't go above Rodriguez. Rose would make a big fall if that fight was to happen. Could you imagine? Rose would go down to 4th if she was to get matched up with Mackenzie Dern and lose. Yeah, and Rodriguez. Yeah. Zhang versus Joanna. Loser fights the loser. Winner fights belt. Oh, yes. Yeah, no, Rodriguez could very well fight the loser, Weili versus Joanna. Yeah, good shot. Look, yeah. Okay, I like that. That's actually what you're referring to. Beat both twice. Rose has. If you're referring to Rodriguez, yeah, okay, I like that. I do like that. I've always said, before, I said this last year, Marina Rodriguez versus Joanna is the fight to make. How it's not been made already, I don't know. Again, it's all on Joanna, personally. He said, I mean, Zhang versus Joanna, loser fights Rodriguez. Yeah, okay. Basically clear that up. Yeah, good options. But then other than that for Rose, look, you could complete the trilogy against Jessica Andrade. Because look, Jessica Andrade looked like a beast in that Lamos fight. But personally, if you're Rose and you put the blame on her performance on herself and her self-confidence in that fight against Esparza, Jessica Andrade is not the fight you want to make. You know, it wouldn't be the smartest move for her confidence. You know, a heavy hitter. I think Andrade is, man, she's on a tear at the moment. Like, she's just looking mean in there. And yeah, I know Rose has beaten her before, but I just don't think it'd be a great. Personally, maybe one day, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll do Andrade against Yan Janan or Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern versus Andrade is interesting. Give you that. Okay, guys, amazing, amazing stuff in the comments. These comments are amazing. Okay, let's move on then to the main event. Back to the lightweight division. As you can see, it's blanked out for the champion. Yes, we're yet to find out who the lightweight champion is going to be. So, who is next for? Okay, well, let's do who's next for Justin Gaethje. I think it's probably obvious. I mean, I'd like to see Gaethje versus Poirier rematch again. I would. You know, Gaethje last time out got deducted a point. He did get TKO'd in round number 4, but you know, it was his second fight in the UFC. Thrown to the wall straight away against Dustin Poirier. Bear in mind, it was Dustin Poirier who was, I think he was quite new to the lightweight division at the time. You know, he'd just transferred over from featherweight, so that's pretty much the only option that I like, really, for Gaethje. It's either that or if they do Makhachev versus Dariush, get the loser, personally. Or if Dos Anjos beats Fiziev, then Gaethje versus Gaethje Fiziev. Imagine that, guys. Or it doesn't really matter if Fiziev wins. He still could very well get that fight against Gaethje. Imagine that. Mate, that's a 5-rounder. That's a 5-rounder. That's fight of the night. That's potential fight of the year. You thought that Gaethje Chandler was amazing. Gaethje Fiziev is even better. But if it's 5 rounds, I wouldn't favor Fiziev over in that fight. In fact, I think the Dos Anjos fight is a horrible fight for Fiziev. And I at this rate, I kind of favor Dos Anjos. Do. But either way, I think I'd like either a matchup for Gaethje, whether it be Poirier or Fiziev or Dos Anjos. Dos Anjos, I think, still gives him problems. I think Dos Anjos can win. I think he's still got it. You know, I think it's still a problem. Let us know what you think about that fight, guys. Do you think which is your favorite option out of those for Justin Gaethje? As I move on to Oliveira, look, okay, Oliveira got some options for him in a sec in the social segment. So do stay tuned for that. But now we'll talk about his performance and probably one potential matchup. There's only really one to talk about, really, isn't there? Let's face it. All right, let's talk about his performance, okay? Because despite the weight issues, he had no problem at all in this fight. He got dropped again. It's like Paddy Pimblett, isn't it? Like, he needs to get clipped to kind of wake up, but actually, no. I refrain from that. I scratch that. No, that's not right. He gets clipped, but he still remains so composed. That's what's great about Oliveira. And he gets through. He doesn't look like he's necessarily going to be finished. I guess the Chandler fight, he did look like he was going to get finished. More so than Poirier and Gaethje, right? But look, flawless performance. Look, he regardless of getting knocked down, he still looks very unstoppable in this division. I think he makes the weight next time around. Islam or Dariush? Who should it? I'll let you know who I think it should be in just a sec. But they're basically the options. It's flawless. Makhachev, I think, is probably what's harder, Makhachev or Dariush, because Dariush has got the jiu-jitsu elements more so than Makhachev, right? So if you're Charles Oliveira, you're better off staying on the feet and picking Dariush apart and perhaps getting the TKO in that fight. I think Dariush against Oliveira, I think Dariush can maybe survive past 2 rounds, you know. I think he could. Again, maybe not the cleanest of striker or the most dangerous of strikers like Gaethje is, but no. Part of me just thinks he's going to be quite durable. It could be quite durable and shock us and in that. You'd automatically think that Oliveira could walk through Gaethje. No, I don't know. Not Gaethje. Oliveira could walk through Dariush. As for Makhachev, he's got the heavy wrestling aspect of it. It's whether or not Makhachev can get Oliveira down, hold him down, avoid submission attempts, and employ submission attempts of his own. Or whether or not Makhachev can kind of grind Oliveira over time and perhaps get a late finish. Because like he kind of did that against Thiago Moises, wasn't it? You know, he stopped him in round 4. I could maybe see Makhachev doing something similar. That's my opinion. Shane says, off topic, but I do want to see McGregor versus Dos Anjos because it never happened. It's the one that got away. It's the one that got away. A lot of trash talking involved. Dos Anjos still campaigning about that fight. We've seen that quite recently. You know, I know. I think a year ago, I probably would have said yes. But Dos Anjos just looks... Okay, if Dos Anjos does lose against Fiziev, Conor Dos Anjos makes sense. If he beats Fiziev, look, Dos Anjos is a potential contender. You could argue and say that he's a dark horse coming up, which is crazy to say because he's a former champion. But we all counted Dos Anjos out, haven't we? Admit it. I will admit it. I've counted him out. But yeah, okay, Renato Moicano, short notice. Paul Felder, short notice. Look, he still looked good in those fights. Still look good. But yeah, interested to see whether Dos Anjos can, against a guy with a full training camp, can he stop them? Big question. Shane says, the look on Khabib's face when Charles makes Islam tap. Dustin and Justin done better against Khabib than Charles, and Islam is a mirror, but not as good as Khabib, in my opinion. Yeah, no. Good points. Good little breakdown there, Shane. No, I do like that. It's interesting because, in a way, if he does beat Islam, I think fans are going to be crying out, aren't they? Like, we're going to be literally, like, praying here, please come back, Khabib, because, look, we just want to see Charles tested, basically. You know, again, he just looks unstoppable. Give him the most unstoppable force, the biggest unstoppable force we've had in the lightweight division. Khabib, isn't he? I mean, okay, it's up to debate, but on record, as it stands, Khabib has probably been the most unstoppable. He was undefeated. Against Charles, that's a huge fight. That's almost like Khabib Tony levels, but more so because Oliveira's had title defenses. Better, isn't it? But older Khabib, of course, been out of the game for a while. Maybe not as exciting for those aspects. I reckon. My opinion, right? That's my opinion. Okay, guys, phenomenal in the chat, phenomenal. We'll obviously get your points in the chat still because we're still gonna carry on talking about these. We're gonna get into the social segments now. Yeah, head right on. All right, socials. Okay, so first up on the agenda is quite a lot to take in, right? Obviously, Nate Diaz is being very active after a lightweight bout. He says, just for the record, I'd choke Oliveira easy. No, don't know about that. Hamzat and Conor are on the injured pussies list. So I don't know why they're talking shit when they're broken. All right, fair point. July 30th, 170 pounds. So look, Nate's been campaigning for a fight for ages. The UFC are just stalling for the Conor fight. That's all it is. Hamzat obviously replied basically saying, bitch, you're not ashamed to open your mouth at all. You refused to fight 10 times. Look, I mean, obviously we saw the leaked fights on the wall behind Dana White. We thought potentially that Nate Diaz and Hamzat is booked, but look, judging from Nate's comments and these comments that we're seeing, maybe it's not. Maybe it was just an idea of the UFC's and it just didn't come into fruition. But look, and even Michael Chandler's popped in at Nate. Oh, Nate gets his fingers going, and everyone's popping and campaigning for a Nate Diaz fight. Even Michael Chandler said, "Hey Nate, shut up and stop complaining. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your head down until your daddy books a fight for you to get your sacrificial dome bounce off the canvas again. Maybe it'll be me if you're lucky. See you at the top." Look, and again, this is why I left this option out for Chandler, because look, you can see Chandler's campaigning for big fights. Chandler versus Nate is very intriguing. But look, we can't be giving Nate Diaz opportunities to get back into the rankings of a lightweight. Okay, maybe it could be at welterweight. He wants welterweight. Again, if you're Chandler, I like Chandler. I want to see him make the run at the belt again. I do. All right, get your money's worth. Maybe go up to 170, but I think Chandler's a small for 170. It's a hard cry. The Diaz fight would be tough. I think it would be tough. It would be an intriguing fight, I guess. I guess it would. I'm just on the fence about that because purely, I'm just not excited to see Nate Diaz fight anymore. That's just me. I just think he's in it for some money. He's broke. He spunked all the Conor money, and he just wants to run his mouth off. People love him. People are fans of him, and look, people will be willing to see him fight anybody, and even if the fights don't make sense. So for me, I don't know. The fights don't really make. I guess the channel one might do. I don't know. It depends if it gets announced whether or not I'll be excited about it. Shane says the only thing with Charles, he gets dropped quite a lot. I think Chandler and Islam, a lot. I think Chandler and Islam versus Charles. Okay. Gotta run. Peace out. Nice chatting when you go live in this. So basically, Shane, we go live every Aftermath show post pay-per-view. We try and go live for news shows as well when things react, when something big happens. We have a People's Pick show as well. Do check that out. Basically, we're a UFC fan channel. We give you guys the platform to voice your opinions. That's what it's all about. You can get involved with this channel one way or another. You can be part of our fan cam series where you can have your post-fight thoughts tuned live. You can express your thoughts to the world. We also have the People's Pick segment, which is basically where you break down your own picks for a leading up to a pay-per-view event. And look, it's an exciting sort of content for you guys to get involved. Plenty of ways to get, and there's more ways as well. We're thinking of more ways. So yeah, no, it'd be good to hear from you, Shane. Maybe follow our socials as well. Get us on Twitter. Feel free. You can DM us at any time. Yeah, it'd be good to get your opinions on things down the line for sure. So yeah, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, back to these things. Yeah, look, Nate's being Nate. Conor does exactly the same. Is anything to get people talking about you after a pay-per-view? And look, I'm kind of tired of it personally. But okay, let's move on then. This one's quite funny. Look, it's a bit of a callback. It's funny from Conor. It's a callback to when Ferguson was calling Conor McNuggets. And look, Conor's replied with this fantastic meme of literally Tony Ferguson looking like a chicken nugget when he's getting his front head kicked off by Chandler. But Ferguson replied, man. He bit back and he said, "Oh, that's my bitch. Next time, tag me, pussy. Coming after you and your crew. McNugget stays with you. Fake. Can't take what not your any more thief. Still got no sauce and no balls. McNuggets. I'll see you and your crew soon. Coming after your gold leprechaun champ, aka El Savvy." Again, yeah. The fight is intriguing. Well, like I said, for those reasons, everyone wants to fight Conor. It just depends on Conor, really, doesn't it? I think it's a good fight for Conor because if he gets a win against Ferguson, again, leapfrog, he can potentially make a run for the belt. But look, again, it depends. How many fights left for Conor McGregor when you're as rich as he is? I think he's still motivated. I really do. And yeah, I think that fight does make sense in a lot of ways. Depends if Conor would do it though, doesn't it? Whether he can bend the UFC's arm and get something a little higher. I think that's probably what he's standing out for. But again, at the same time, like I said, the UFC want that Nate Diaz fight first. my opinion. But hey, moving on then. Number 3, which is kind of interesting because it's a bit of a bromance sort of scenario, really. With Charles Oliveira basically coming out after Tony Ferguson lost against Michael Chandler and said, "We're among big dogs, ups and downs, a part of our journey. I admire you a lot, Tony Ferguson. You've the history inside the octagon. Head up El Kukui. If you wish, let's train together in Shooter Box headquarters in Sao Paulo for your next fight. You brother." So look, yeah, Charles has a lot of respect for Tony Ferguson, even though they once fought. It would be good for Tony, I think, maybe to train with the champ, but I can't see Tony doing it. I don't think he does it. I don't think he accepts his offer. But yeah, maybe Charles is trying to get a little bit of a bromance there, going with Tony Ferguson. Moving on then, is this interesting one, because this is the big kind of topic, really. After Charles' win, who was quick to jump on it? Khabib. I mean, was it Khabib or was it Ali Abdelaziz as Khabib? Tweeting, "Dana White, you have no other choice but to make Oliveira versus Islam fight in Abu Dhabi, 22nd of October. Perfect day, perfect location, perfect opponents with perfect winning streaks of 10 versus 11. And at the same time, Oliveira came out and MMAfighting.com, props to them for getting the scoop. They've Charles Oliveira has basically told them that Islam Makhachev must get past Beneil Dariush to earn the title fight, and he targets a December fight in Brazil. Look, my opinion on this, I think, and look, I even took to Twitter about this a few hours ago. I think this is Charles Oliveira ducking Islam, personally. Now, I get your opinions. You can easily say, well, Islam's not exactly fought top competition to warrant a title fight, and I'm totally with that. But Khabib Nurmagomedov did exactly the same thing. He got a title fight after beating Edson Barbosa, who was what, around 10 for the rankings at that. Like, he wasn't top 5. Okay, all right, yeah, I get it. Neither's Bobby Green. And yes, Hooker was sort of top 10 kind of area when Islam beat him. I look, personally, this is my issue with Charles saying this, is he doesn't have the right to basically say that Islam should fight Dariush. He doesn't have that right. Because look, you you don't have the right, because you'd 100% take a fight with Conor McGregor, who doesn't deserve a title fight, for the money. So, look, you can't just say that Islam should fight Beneil Dariush. You can't tell him that. Personally, your situation is even worse now, the fact that you missed weight at the weekend and that you're the number 1 contender and there isn't a lightweight champion. You've got to get paired up with the next best thing, in my opinion. Beaten Poirier, you've beaten Gaethje. Next in line is Islam Makhachev. He's above Dariush. And yes, maybe perhaps Islam versus Dariush should have taken place, but it didn't. Dariush is injured. We don't know when he's going to come back. So in the meantime, if you look, and not only that, he's only fought once this year. Is Oliveira. He's only fought once. He needs to fight another time before the end is near, before the year is ended. October makes sense in Abu Dhabi. It does, and that's my opinion. I think he needs to take the Islam fight. And okay, yeah, there's a slight bit of bias because I actually picked Islam to be the champion by the end of the year, and it would work out well. If you haven't done so already, do hit that, find that video later on. It was our champ predictions. Yeah, I agree. There's some bias there, but it makes sense. That's my reason why it makes sense. Stars will align, I think. Again, I think later on we'll probably find out whether or not Dariush, like, what's the time frame for him? When's he going to come back? But we'll have to see. Damo's in the house. Yes, Damo. Charles, wait, you've tuned in at the right time, haven't you? Charles is the GOAT at 155.5. Right, he is. Right, he is, my man. Yes, very lonely in that division. Sure. He says, I don't want to see Islam fight for the belt. Boring fighter, just a boring Khabib. Yeah, okay. Like personality-wise, it's pretty dull, isn't it? Yeah. But what is the more intriguing fight style-wise? Surely it's Islam, right? You want to see Charles tested? Surely it's Islam. Benil Dariush? Maybe. The fact that Islam has that sort of 10-fight win streak just says it all, really, doesn't it? You know, it makes it's a good selling point for the fight. Name someone else who tests Oliveira, other than Islam, that he's not already fought. Okay, there's people upcoming for sure, but they're not there yet. Personally, I think Dos Anjos does test him. But look, again, going back to what I said before, we need to see Dos Anjos have a clear-cut win against somebody who hasn't stepped in at short notice. Once we see that, yeah, all for it. Dos Anjos, you could have very well argue he's a tougher test than Islam. Because look, wrestling-wise, Dos Anjos looks amazing, right? He's got the jiu-jitsu credentials. He's got that Muay Thai style as well. Makes sense, in my opinion. But yeah, for now, Islam is the only option. Damien, so yes, love that, says Ash. Damien says Charles is a hell fight for Islam. That's why Khabib ducked his style. Ooh. Ooh. Look, either way, we're going to see it down the line. And if Charles does beat Islam, then look, let's wake up the tomb. Let's wake up that tomb where that Khabib is currently shelling in right now. Mate, I would love it. I would love for Khabib to come back out of retirement and just get that crack. But, you know, who would you give favourite in that fight, though? Oliveira or Khabib? The guy who's undefeated or the guy who's been completely finishing people lately? Like, Khabib's performances have been dominant and there's not been a scratch on him. But at the same time, Oliveira's getting finishes. Huge fight. But look, I don't think we'll see. We can only dream, can't we, folks? Okay. One comment from Damien. Striking, Charles. Wrestling, 50-50. Ground, Charles. I don't see a way Islam wins. But the thing is it depends on Islam's wrestling style can nullify the jiu-jitsu game of Oliveira. You know? I know. Yeah. It's whether or not the key to victory for Islam is to basically take Oliveira down. He probably would want to get to half guard for sure, and just wear on Oliveira, soften him up, make him gas, make him tired, maybe finish in later rounds. That's his best bet. But again, it comes down to whether or not he can get the takedowns on Oliveira, doesn't it? So I guess I see your points and whether it's 50-50 or not, because we don't know whether Oliveira can get Charles down. I tell you what, you know what? Because we're at it, because it's close, I'm going to get up the UFC stats page, and let's have a look at how many times Oliveira has been taken down as of recent. I think that'd be interesting to find out, and who's taken him down as well. So the last person to take Oliveira down, I'll tell you what, guys, Kevin Lee. Look, Kevin Lee did actually look good against Charles in that first round. Yeah? And the second round, Kevin Lee got caught in that triangle. Does Islam make the same mistake, though? Potentially, maybe. I think Islam might be a smarter fighter than Kevin Lee, though. Look, don't get me wrong. Kevin Lee had skills in abundance, man. But he was titled to be the next big thing. Just didn't come into fruition. I think he had issues with camp. His trainer died and things like that. Knocked his confidence down, and he was kind of a bit of a mess. But look, all I'm saying is go back and watch that Kevin Lee fight again. In my opinion. Frankie Ash, Look, if Frankie can come back at lightweight and not get knocked out, then maybe. But I can't see it. He's too small now. Damien says Charles won't back up. Islam needs to be against the cage. Sure. Lateral movement is the key. But look, again, this kind of goes back to the Conor versus Khabib debate because I got sucked during that fight, or prior to that fight, should I say, I got sucked into the ways that Conor needed to win against. And then I ended up picking Conor going into the fight. After months of me saying that Khabib would slaughter Conor, yeah, I was a victim of it. Because I felt, look, if Conor was to stick on the outside, stick on the inside, keep that lateral movement going, pick Khabib apart, counter-strike with him as he's rushing forward, and, he can very well win a decision. Not the most entertaining of fights, but did that happen? No. Because of his corner, in my opinion, had the wrong strategy. Put Conor in there with the likes of Faraz Zahabi. Conor could very well beat Khabib. Could have beaten Khabib, my opinion. But yeah, does Charles do the same thing? Maybe, but that's what he's got to do against someone like Islam. So yeah, his cage awareness has got to be on point. But look, even Poirier had Oliveira backing up. Period. Interesting. I know. We can go back and forth all night, guys, for sure. For sure. Few other things before we get going. Some funny a stat here which Ash has pulled together for me. Kind of interesting. It kind of highlights how boring the co-main event was because 51 total significant strikes were thrown in 3 minutes and 32 seconds of the main event of Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje, and only 67 significant strikes were thrown overall in the co-main event across 25 minutes. Props to MMA on point for that stat. Yeah, it just highlights how bad that fight is. And then the other thing, which is actually quite a bit of a meme from Mac Malley, it's quite funny, really. Literally every time Charles Oliveira gets dropped, it is that, call an ambulance, but not for me kind of scenario. Because again, look, he has us on the edge of our seats, doesn't he? There's Oliveira. You can't take that away from. Yeah. Damien says, but here is a reminder, Islam isn't Khabib for sure. But then at the same time, doesn't Islam have better striking than Khabib? Maybe. He says, you don't have the dominance of Khabib. Maybe not so on the ground, for sure. Yeah, on the wrestling aspect. Okay, I see your point. Yeah, true. Islam is literally Khabib without the season. I guess it's only time will tell. I mean, look, we can go back and forth with this all night. Khabib should not have retired, really. He had a lot of tests still in the division. All right, look, I'm going to wrap this up. That's basically it for the social segment. Back to the main screen. Thanks, guys, for tuning in to the Aftermath show. We hope you've enjoyed it. It's been a long one tonight. Lots to talk about, clearly. Lots of potential matchups. We've gone back and forth on who we're excited to see next. Some housekeeping notes, though. We've got some exciting videos coming up. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, hit a like on the video. Look, we've got this content coming out of our ears at the moment. It's such a busy time here at ATF, Team ATF. We got some fighter Q&As. Hoping to get a fighter Q&A this Friday against Darek Minner. That was rescheduled. It was meant to be yesterday, but unfortunately, Darek Minner had a baby girl yesterday. He couldn't join us. So, yeah, to be excited about that, do stay tuned for that. Then, of course, this weekend, we're back for a Fight Night watch-along. Jan Blachowicz versus Alexander Rakic. Great fight in the light heavyweight division. Got to stay tuned and watch the fights with us for that one because, look, it's an intriguing fight at the light heavyweight division. Blachowicz needs redemption. Rakic could potentially get himself back in there for into title contention. So, look, it's exciting times, man, to be a fight fan. There's a lot of great fights coming up. So, yeah, do stay tuned for that. And for everything else that we've got coming here at OTF. Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'm going to wrap this up. Thanks for joining. We'll see you soon. See you on the flip side. Bye for now.